So, hi everyone again. I think we are ready to start now. My name is Paul. I'm here to introduce our speaker. Our speaker is Sергій Sимонenko, a Chief Technology Officer of the two companies, Bohemia Automation and Altertech. This company specializes in industrial automation solutions. Sергій has been working in tech professionally since 1994. I mean, it's 30 years of experience almost. So great. His main focus in automation of industrial processes. He's skilled in impressive number of fields, which includes Rust, Python, WebAssembly, virtualization, server hardware, PLCs, Internet of Things, cloud, and Linux. Sергій will talk about cross-platform desktop apps in Rust and Qt. Qt is a popular framework for creating graphical user interfaces. And now, before Sергій takes the stage, I have to remind you that there is a QA button on the bottom of your screen, and you can open the QA window and ask questions the whole talk, and we will discuss those questions after the talk. Thanks. And Sергій, your stage is yours now.
So hello everyone, my name is Sергій Sимоненко, and unfortunately my skills are allow me to enable video in Zoom. I wish I had one more to connect the camera. Okay, it was working fine yesterday, but no chance to make it work today. Okay. So first of all, let me express my gratitude to organizers of this event. It's just amazing. My name is Sергій Sимоненко. I have 30 years of experience in IT. Last 20 years I live and work in the Czech Republic. Who doesn't know where it is? It's a country around Prague. So let's go with presentation. I specialize in industrial automation, but I'm gonna talk about interfaces. Why? Because it's very common question. People want to make some tiny desktop application for their software, and they don't know which framework to choose. Actually, why do we still write desktop applications? It's 2023. There is no HTTP sometimes. You are talking with industrial devices, like classical databases, and maybe third-party web services. In the last case, of course, you can make an electron application, but it's not my way, definitely. Sometimes desktop applications are just faster than web ones, and they require less memory. Sometimes they require more access to the local machines than WebAssembly can provide. And the main, what is for me, is no limitations. You can just take your desktop backend crates and use them on desktop without any modifications. So you can use multiple threads, you can use Tokyo, you can use any other asynchronous runtime. Actually, development is much more faster. You can create applications with no HTML and CSS coding. When guys reviewed my presentation, they mentioned that some people just hate HTML. So that's a bonus. You can choose a framework with no HTML, because actually CSS is nowadays maybe everywhere. But take into account that users must download and install your application, like physically, like a program. So in my sector is not a problem, because people are used to use software from 90s. So they download and install everything you tell them without any problems. So let's go next. Why Qt? First of all, I love Qt a lot, about 20 years. There are actually two big grown-up players on the market, Qt and GTK. Sometimes, can you hear me, guys? Sorry, can I write some? Okay,
Fine.
because someone is complaining. Thank you. So there are two big grown-up players, QT and GTK. Personally, I'm watching on all players like EGUI and so on, and I hope one day we start writing like absolutely safe desktop application in Rust. But nowadays the situation is like this. Alternatives like Flutter, Lint, and so on are either too young or less focused on desktop applications. If you want to sell your application, or if you want to make it open source, but it sells your backend, your application must look like high five. So Qt usually looks neat and more enterprise ready, but actually take into account their license. If you open source your application and use only open source Qt components, usually have no problems with that. One of the main things, Qt perfectly works with 4K screens. Qt absolutely correctly works with resizable windows. That's very important because some frameworks they are very neat until you start zooming, until you start resizing your windows. Qt has got commercial support, including lots of third-party consulting companies, so never be alone. Qt has got Qt Designer, Qt Design Studio, and Qt6 and QML, like on markup language. So you can choose either to do everything with mouse or do everything. About question, guys, later when I finish. Okay, and Qt5 or Qt6. Now Qt5 nowadays is still popular because of actually KDE, the most well-known open source player, and they are slowly migrating to Qt6, and I believe in 2024 when majority of Linux distribution are going to be upgraded to new like KDE, they will upgrade Qt to version 6. But now, like in production, people usually put version 5 with no problems. Next, so Qt and Rust. There are like three big well-known crates. First one is Ritual. It has got the most direct bindings to Qt. The next one is QMeta Object for Rust, actually QMeta Object RS. So it's more high level. Crate for Qt programming, and actually when I started working with Qt and Rust, QMeta Objects was so young it was almost impossible to use. So I will focus more on Ritual in this presentation. And the last one is 6.6 Qt. They had maybe I'm wrong, but they started together with QMeta Object, but after decided to make own project. So let's go next. Rustaceans should know Qt and interface basics. You must learn about signals and slots as a special mechanism for data exchanging between Qt threads. Actually, Qt is very big ecosystem with threads, with signals, with many stuff, but we will focus today only on interfaces because I prefer doing everything in Rust and take only interface from Qt and doing some crazy mixes with this. So there are no events in Rust like close event on Windows because there is no like classical OOP. So you must either use C++ wrappers, or in the majority of cases, you just don't need events, Qt events, because everything can be solved with slots. If you are writing UI for the first time, avoid blocking the UI thread with IO or heavy calculations because it will be laggy and your users will hate you. If you are using Rust, beware of auto drops of dynamic widgets by Rust if you create them, because when widgets go out of visible scope, like code scope, Rust automatically drops it. So you must keep them somewhere. And C++, C++ knowledge can be a bonus, but it's not a requirement. Personally, about myself, I don't like C++. I even hate C++, but I like Qt. Unfortunately, it's written in C++. Okay, so signal slots, what is that? Consider you can imagine signals and slot like many-to-many channels. Signals and signal objects are not usually thread safe, but if you do only emitting only, sorry, one moment. Sorry, I still have a cold because my daughter is going to school and she is my personal virus supplier, so I have cold the whole winter. So signals and slot, you can move signal to any thread and use emit function without any problems. And usually people do like this. So you emit signals from other threads. And let's go next. And actually my data flow usually looks like the following, like a single UI thread and which send commands to workers and actually workers send back data. Let's speed up a little bit because we have limited in time. So why do people still use ritual? It's the oldest and the most popular project with no serious issues. It has got the most complete bindings. It supports Qt designer forms. It supports dynamic widgets. It has got minimal Rust overhead. So if you have problems with Qt, you go to Google, you find the solution and you port it to ritual with almost no changes. When ritual should be avoided, you prefer to keep away from unsafe blocks in your code. As actually Qt is written in C++, there are unsafe somewhere in code everywhere, but other frameworks can hide this for you. If you use QML only, if you don't care about Qt knowledge base, if you need Qt 6 support, there is no ritual for Qt 6 yet. And here is a program example. Let's go very quickly. So there is a program where a background worker increase counter every second and pushes, actually you can scan QR code and look into source. And when the value is increased, the data is being sent back to UI thread and UI has got one reset button to reset this counter. They talk via standard Rust channels, but worker thread use one empty like one null Qt signal to notify UI about new events in these Rust channels. So let's go to the code. So we are creating channels. So here you see we use an unsafe sim to send our emitter to another thread. So it's no problem to use because it's official Qt way. So we construct UI, we show it, we spawn our background worker, execute application, and we quit. So how does the application look like? Usually, this attribute UI form is actually ritual. Ritual has got very tiny Rust code written, but it does some interesting things, like it can load UI form for you. So the object has only widget itself, counter, and one button to reset. There is a struct for main program with window and actually two data channels. And we can implement static upcasting for our window to let ritual make slot for us automatically. Otherwise, we need to declare them as Rust closures manually. So let's go next. Here is UI implementation. We create our UI object. We load everything and we assign, this is unsafe, single unsafe, and assign our reset handler. It's automatically made with a slot no arguments from a Rust function converted into Qt slot by ritual. So let's go next. Here is an alternative slot implementation. So you can just make a closure. You can put your code and have no algorithm and have no even static upcasting declare. And actually, why self is under RC counter? Because if in the closure you want to address yourself, you need to clone it, but it's a single thread. UI has got a single thread only, so you can use a reference counter, not atomic. So let's go next. Here is the worker, which actually increases, listens to channels, and send data. And after the data is sent and everything is okay, the data channel is emitted with empty event. And how to handle data in UI. So we assign a simple function to this signal, which is triggered when signal is actually emitted. But after we used Rust channel, so we go full in Rust later on, and actually toss our events and display what should be displayed. So the last topic I want to mention, how to distribute application. We have cool create cargo bundle, which can do, I don't know about the RPMs, but Debian packages, of course, for Linux and also packages for OS X. And we have, I prefer Cargo Wix. It's a binding for popular Windows installation framework. So we can do everything directly from Cargo. So thank you for watching. You can download presentation. You can actually look at production application example, because actually we use Qt and Rust with our production application for our SCADA platform. Next time I will probably make a presentation about SCADA platform. Okay, so let's go to a question. Sorry, it was a little bit.
Thank you.
Longer than expected. Okay.
Thank you, Sergey. It's fine. I think we have plenty of time for questions.
Okay. If you someone want to see me, you can do it in recording, because camera was working perfectly.
Well, I'm not sure if that was recorded, but never mind. So I'll go over the questions in most liked, most upvoted fashion. So first question is, did you consider evaluate GTK? What made you pick Qt? You probably answered that a bit in the presentation, but if you want to add something or make a short summary.
Yeah. Actually, the first, I don't like GTK so much. When I started using Linux, I switched to KDE at start, but now I use i3, so it has got like no framework, no dedicated framework. And actually, the second problem, just because we either sell our applications or this application sell other application, even they are open source. So we need to present to enterprise customers the most accurate, the most neat interface they can have. And with Qt is really possible. So you can just close the source, you can pay some fee for commercial components, or you can keep everything open source, but it will still looks very good. But actually is a Oliver. Why do you use Vim but not Emacs? Why do you use like vice versa? Just because. I respect GTK,
sure.
But I don't use it.
Yeah, like you're the speaker, so we are asking your preference. Yeah, so next question is not exactly, it's a bit about Qt. So using Tauri, I have a problem with transferring a lot of bytes between backend and frontend due to serialization and deserialization for transfer. Does Qt have this or the same problem?
I'm not sure about if you wrap everything in QMeta objects, because it should be very little overhead, but like high-level frameworks I mentioned, they offer you to use signals and slow system as it is. But if you use Rust signals, of course, you can transfer everything. You are not limited to anything to transfer.
I think Qt doesn't have the serialization part, right? So
no, there is no serialization unless you connect like your interface written in C++ as shared library. So you need a kind of serialization or like a stable ABI to exchange data between.
It's more like FFI, foreign function interface, and serialization, I think, right?
Yeah. Actually, if you care about stable ABI, I have an experience. We had tried to exchange structures with shared libraries, but we found message pack is fast enough in most cases. So don't.
Yeah, I think
don't be afraid to serialize.
I think they have asked.
For Qt, you don't need any serialization. You don't need.
Yeah.
Don't need.
So next question is also about Tauri. Do you think Tauri will replace Electron on a market with time? I mean,
okay, guys. At first,
the second part of this question, which are the common cases for Qt versus cases for Tauri? So user asks for comparing those.
Yeah, so sorry for breaking, because I can't just answer on this question because I'm not UI expert. The only Electron I use is RStudio, is IDE for our language, and that's all I know about Electron. I never used Electron in production.
Yeah, so the next question is comparison with WebAssembly. You said that sometimes desktop apps require more access to the local machines than WebAssembly. In which way Rust can provide more access to the local machines than WebAssembly?
Actually, it's a native application. You can write files, you can format your drive, you can, I don't know, you can blow up your computer. There is SDK for that. So you have no limitations, just what operating system allows you. So
yeah, giving some background, yeah, I can add some background for WebAssembly. Like WebAssembly by itself doesn't have any system interface, and if you want some there, for example, Prazі, which is WebAssembly system interface, it basically can handle files and that's it, and a little bit networking code, but even not the whole networking. Sergey,
so
do you have to add something? Yeah.
Actually, what I want to add, because usually we do programs which communicate with USB a lot, with non-standard protocols which communicate to serial ports, and you just have no alternatives for WebAssembly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So next question is more close to Qt. Why is there so many unsafe blocks? Could they be wrapped in some more safe abstractions?
Yes, they can be wrapped, and actually high-level frameworks allow you to hide everything in the background. But keep in mind there are still unsafe blocks. Actually, computers are unsafe. Computers are unsafe. Somewhere near the processor is always an unsafe block.
So yeah, we know that, but everyone in Rust world don't want to write unsafe block.
I understand. I understand, but you have two alternatives. Either you use high-level frameworks like QMeta object, but you are limited in something, or you use direct bindings, but sometimes you deal with unsafe code.
Can you also show some slide with unsafe code and comment why is it needed?
It's very, actually unsafe codes are everywhere when we are calling Qt methods. When we are calling ritual methods, there is no unsafe code. Like
so is there something like, can you have connect here, is there a ritual method connect rather than
you know, ritual is automatic binding generator, because there are no function, almost no function written in by hands. It's like similar what Amazon does for the API. And so you can't demand from people who generated your bindings for thousands of classes to make safe wrappers around. You can do it actually by your own if you need.
But I'm not sure, like what in this piece of code is unsafe and like how to make it safe.
Connect function is like native Qt function is unsafe. So if you call external function in external library, it's considered to be unsafe by default. So we can make, of course, some wrapper around if you like use typical functions, because Qt is a huge ecosystem. You use a part of it, someone uses another part of it. It's you can even don't understand each other, because the next question I see, how do you do workarounds Qt not existing error handling? Guys, I never like seen Qt errors, non-existent Qt errors. I'm not sure what you are talking about.
Okay, I have to say everyone is free to switch to the next room, which is going to start soon. There will be Andriy Sakirko talking about using WebAssembly in the backend. But you are also free to stay here for as long as Sergey is willing to answer
Let's
questions.
at last, thank you. Yeah, thank you for watching, and let's at last finish with questions. So about non-existent error handling in Qt. Actually, bindings, they return kinds of errors, I believe, because I never had problems with that. Next, why do you prefer Qt to Rust alternatives like Tauri, EGUI, and so on? Actually, I'm watching EGUI a lot, and I believe EGUI one day it will replace like all unsafe frameworks. But now, like it doesn't look like because for a coder there is a big benefit. It's safe. It's written in Rust and it's written by you. Like it's very good. But for users need to see first what is used to see, and after a second something very neat and accurate, like not made quickly and by hands. So let's go next. Are there popular projects with open source will built with Qt and Rust? Actually, you can.
Let's make a bit more dialogue. Yeah, so you can answer
if you have time.
question, but
if you have time.
Yeah, we have time. I have just said everyone who wants to be on the next talk, like they can already switch. But we are here for like half an hour at least without issue.
Okay, no problem. So let's go to next. Will you help me reading, or I can read it manually?
You stopped on other any popular projects with open source? Yeah.
So actually, you can look on our application. It's pretty big. It's pretty huge, and it's actually written by maximum 1.5 people, me and my colleague. And actually, it's really big, and it has got lots of interesting things like many non-model windows. So it keeps like non-model windows in Rust collection. And actually, when we started to write this application, we didn't know about trick with sign as a slot, and we used there is a more safe alternative you can use, but it's less faster. It's slower. You can use QTimer, and you can just react like 10 times a second to events. It's usually enough for a desktop application unless you are writing some first-person shooter game. But usually it's good, so you can just make a scheduler and toss your queue with events like 10 times a second. So let's go next.
Yeah, the next question is, could Rust and Qt app be built for Android? If yes, do you know?
Sorry, you missed about async support. I want to answer this.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, actually, very good question, because in Qt you don't need to have something async, because there is no like real I/O. Qt thread is like lives its own life. It outputs everything on the screen, but in the background you can have Tokyo, you can like async std running, you can have everything async and exchange data is asynchronous way, and you can actually use async channels with async Rust channels with Qt thread. Is absolutely no problem to use.
Yeah, sounds good. So the next one, could the Rust and Qt app be built for Android? And if yes, do you know an example?
Yes, but for Android, actually, you need I will choose another framework, because there are lots of framework more safe and more Android dedicated. Because don't try to make your application versatile, because you'll get, instead of 3 good applications, you'll get 1 bad versatile application. Because any like user application, it also contains 2 parts. First is backend, which talks with server backend and actually handles the logic. And the next one is frontend, which is displayed to user. So you can have the same backend, but different frontends, and have everything accurate, like to provide big tables for desktop users and small buttons, and small tables and big buttons for mobile users. And users will love you.
Do you know something in Rust that is good for mobile?
I know only Flutter, and because Flutter was born to be mobile, but I have no experience with that, because usually mobile applications, for mobile applications, we use either like native languages like Java, Kotlin, or just web.
Okay. So you already answered the question about error handling, I guess, right?
Yes.
Do I get it right that Qt assembles a bit Elm-like architecture with comments and UI threads rendering data?
Actually, if we talk about Qt in general, it's a very big ecosystem which has got wrappers around system threads, wrappers around, I'm not sure, but maybe about around file system. So it was designed in days when there was only Java as an alternative, and Qt was designed to make like applications which are not related to Java virtual machine, to make them faster. Like they were competitors in the sector of cross-platform applications. So Qt is very big ecosystem. You don't write in C++ in Qt. You write like in very modified C++ with a lot of Qt libraries and so on. So
yeah, they probably mean like when you are writing Qt in Rust, you probably don't use Qt threads and other stuff, right?
Yes. Actually, what I want to say, you have only 1 thread, because from Qt you need only interface. You don't need like the cool threads or even the cool signal systems. You need only sometimes a signal to emit to tell your UI thread to display something. Actually, just to return a question, because guys, someone is asking to clarify to error handling question. When you use Qt just for interface, you get rid of 90% of errors, because use as much Rust as possible, and everything will be much better. So let's go next, please.
Qt has its own types and strings. Why Qt didn't have its own language? Well, this is a very philosophical question.
Because I am not JetBrains, they are not so ambitious. JetBrains will invite string type and make 2 languages instantly. But Qt, they like have, they have actually no stable business, because they're changing CEOs, board of directors, and actually people believe Qt 6 will be the last version of Qt, but actually
everyone wants everything be the last versions in sense.
But
you don't want to change everything.
Actually the situation is very similar to Java, because Java is dead for 15 years, but Java coders still have lots of jobs. I don't even remember about COBOL, because in COBOL you can make millions nowadays, but it's complicated.
Yeah, I think we have covered all the questions.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for watching me, and let's go to other presentation, because everything is very interesting on the 7th. Thank you again, organizers, and sorry for my video. Actually, we had a recording in Wednesday, and I mean that recording with video, because my camera was working. Okay.
Maybe. Okay, yeah, thank you all. See you on the next
Thank you.
talks.
Goodbye.